Thomas Frank's Tottenham is set to take on Marco Silva's Fulham this Saturday evening in the Premier League, and in today's video I'm going to tactically break down how Spurs can target Fulham's weaknesses and pick up a huge 3 points. Marco Silva will likely go with his favoured 4-4-2 formation, and I believe Spurs should use a 3-5-2 in this game. The back three keeps us defensively solid, whilst attacking wing-backs will create chances for us. I think a midfield three is very important to overload the two that Fulham have in there, and the strike partnership worked very well against PSG, and we scored 3 goals in that game against the European champions. So I think we should use the exact same strike partnership with Muwani and Richarlison in this game. One of Fulham's biggest weaknesses so far this season has been winning aerial duels. They're currently sat bottom of the Premier League for them in 20th, and I believe Spurs should exploit this. We should go long a lot instead of constantly trying to play out from the back, especially with 2 strikers. And because we have 2 strikers, when we get it out wide, smash it into the box. The 2 wing-backs I would choose would be Udogie and Pro. It's a game we're very likely going to dominate, and especially if we're playing a back three, we don't need to play Spence to be defensively solid. Those 2 are our best attacking wing-backs, and they can constantly put balls into the box. Kolo Muwani and Richarlison are constantly going to make runs that the likes of Calvin Bassey at the back for Fulham and Anderson just aren't going to be able to track because they're not quick enough. And if you also move a couple of midfielders in, we'll score goals. I would use a number 10 in this game, as I would have Spurs playing 3 midfielders, and that number 10 would be Xavi Simons. I really think he could thrive in this game, as he'll be given the space and time on the ball that he's been crying out for recently. When Fulham press, one midfielder often pushes up with the other one staying deep, and it leaves a huge gap in the midfield. So if Spurs can draw Fulham onto them, occasionally play it long, but also occasionally play it out, you're going to find Simons in a lot of space where he can turn on the ball and drive forward with it. The other 2 midfielders I would play would be Archie Gray and Pape Matar Sarr. The reason I wouldn't play João Paulinho and Bentancur is because they both struggle to progress the ball forward. At home, we need to take initiative. We need to be proactive and not reactive. And I think both of those players are great to have in your team away. But at home, you need midfielders that are going to play line-breaking passes. And Archie Gray can do that. He showed that he can do that against PSG, and Fulham are nowhere near the level of PSG and the team that they have. So he deserves to start in this game after that performance. And the reason I would start Pape Matar Sarr is, yes, he's probably a better passer forward than Bentancur and Paulinho, but he also presses very well. And I think pressing is going to be hugely important in this game. Fulham have had more touches in their own half than any other team in the Premier League this season. So I think it's important to keep them penned in as they struggle to find an outlet and a way out. And Pape Matar Sarr is one of the most aggressive pressers that we have in our team. We've seen it against the likes of PSG and Manchester City, so he should start as well in my opinion. I think set pieces could play a huge part in this game as well. Spurs like to overload the back post and make quick runs to the near post, and I don't believe the Fulham team have the pace to be able to catch us if we do, nor the physicality, nor the ability to win duels in the air. So I really do think in this game Spurs could score at least 1 goal from a corner. And that's why I would also play Danzo, because of his long throws in the back three. Not only does he make us more solid defensively, but every time we get a throw in, it's an opportunity to score a goal or at least create a chance. When Spurs have the ball in this game, the back line will push up, and that is where Raul Jimenez will try and find some space on the halfway line so that when Fulham win the ball, they can quickly break on Tottenham. I believe Mickey van de Ven should stay attached to Raul Jimenez. His biggest strength is finding that space, whereas if he's man-marked, he's not going to be able to do that much. On the ball, he's actually not brilliant. It's his off-the-ball work that has him starting week in, week out for the Cottagers. And I think, as I say, if you man-mark him, especially with someone like Van de Ven, who's constantly going to be able to track his runs, who's never going to be caught out with pace, I believe you really do render them powerless in forward areas. When Spurs have the ball, I would have Romero almost drop into a DM position so that Tottenham can box in those 2 midfielders for Fulham and make it a 4v2, almost like a rondo when we're in possession. If you do this as well, if Fulham quickly win it off you, they're going to struggle to attack in transition because there's no real connection between defence and attack. It will be 4v2 in the middle of the park. If they try and go long, we've got Danzo and Mickey van de Ven to mop things up. Without the ball, when Fulham have sustained periods of possession, Romero can drop back into that back three And I really think if we use this tactic and many others that I've mentioned in this video, it can be a very comfortable night for Spurs on Saturday. We've had a very tough run over the last few weeks. This is a very winnable game. Yes, they're coming off a great win, but they've got a lot of weaknesses. And if Spurs target them, I think Tottenham are on for a big 3 points.